And then you also said your hot take would be that dating is backwards now. It's sex first, emotional connection second, which you hate.
Yes. Yeah, I just think that like everyone's talking about like promiscuity and like social media, dating apps, all of these things combined really affect like how modern dating has become. And now it's more so like there's all these options all the time, constantly. So why would anybody want to commit or feel the need to settle down?
I mean, me personally, I'm saving it till marriage, but I've had a lot of friends who have gone into relationships where it's sex first, and they just often feel so dissatisfied because like what would have been like a nice intimate moment is just completely destroyed by.
Yeah.
Are these guys or girls?
Both, a mixture.
Both.
Of
Absolutely.
Yeah. Previous to my current relationship, I was celibate for about 2.5 years. And, I just had made that decision for myself because I felt like the expectation for sex was like the first thing that the men wanted. And I was like, well, you are only using me for the sexual component of everything. And I don't really like that. I don't like the way that it makes me feel. So I was waiting and just seeing. And, I would go on dates and like people would be putting so much pressure. I'm like, well, clearly you're not somebody that I want to be with if you're going to continue to pressure me like that. And so I think it really changed my view on dating and my view on relationships and what I wanted in somebody. Again, I think casual sex is fine if that's what you want. I'm not going to shame anybody for that, but celibacy really changed my view on who I was dating and why.
Respect.
So that's your hot take? Is that?
That's it.
I think she's got a good point though with as far as the settling down because of dating apps and everything like that and social media, because I see it in actual long-term relationships too, where men are liking other Instagram models' photos and whatever, where they're just constantly looking for the next thing. So it's very easy for people to move on and go, oh, well, there's like this catalog of women or this catalog of men that I can log on and I can just swipe through until I find exactly what I'm looking for. So it's just, there's just too many options.
You have a harder time making a final decision.
Absolutely.
And you basically never settle.
Yes.
Well, I think, I mean, but I kind of address your thing here as far as, sex first, emotional connection later. I mean, of those of you who have had long-term relationships, and perhaps there's some variance here, I can speak for myself at least. The long-term relationships I've had a 5-year relationship, 2-year, 1 year. I've had, a couple 6 months, 9 months ones, whatever. Almost all of them, it wasn't like, here, let's go on 10 dates and then have sex. It was like first, second, third date, time hanging out, we had sex. So I don't know if any of you can speak to this, but I don't necessarily think the quickness with which you sleep with somebody is necessarily going to be a detriment to you having a long-term relationship with them. Because perhaps some of you have had a long-term pleasant relationship with someone and you guys hooked up relatively quickly, first, second, third date. Has that been the case for any of you?
Yeah.
Sure.
Essie, what's up?
I haven't been in a relationship in 6 years. I can't really talk about it.
What's going on, Essie? Wait, but you haven't been in a relationship for 6 years. You said you were in a 6-month situationship.
It's not exclusivity. It's not like dating with a label. It's like the courting process, going on dates, seeing each other, getting to know each other. No, not like a relationship.
Okay, so question. You haven't been in a relationship for 6 years, but you have had
like
flings
dating here
or
and there,
situationships, excuse me. So then, but in these situationships, are you like, how do you move? Are you waiting to have sex?
Yeah, I go by, a lot of women are aware of the third date rule.
Date rule?
I usually go by that, depending on like how often we're still seeing each other.
I mean, have you established an emotional connection typically by the third date? Or?
I think within the third date, I'm aware and I know if I like want to pursue this person like I would. It's hard to say not a relationship, but like be exclusive with them and want to get to know them more.
Sure. Has that always been your standard, the third date rules?
Not always.
Have you ever,
sometimes I'll wait longer, but I've never gone shorter.
Never shorter?
No.
Come on.
No.
Come on. There's one time.
My friends say I'm asexual because I just don't like,
You're are you?
I don't think so.
Just because you wait for
I'm just not like sexually driven. So it's like not an issue for me to wait. Like I've been celibate for years at a time. Yeah. See, so it's like, And once I get to know somebody more, then my sex drive comes into play, and I'm like wanting to like have sex with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women are emotional when it comes to sex. Even like climaxing, like we were talking about. I feel like men, like their emotions don't take place with their orgasm. With women, like that definitely, like the more comfortable I am, like if I'm in love with you, like it's just easier to climax.
Sure. Well, okay. So, I mean, I don't know. This whole like, I guess one thing that occurs to me is if it's always been your standard, like to wait, I think that's one thing. But I think a lot of guys don't want to feel like a sucker because there's definitely been situations where, for example, a girl says, "Oh, I used to be wild. I used to have, like, I had a hoe phase in my past, blah, blah, blah. I've slept with 20, 30 guys." And then she lands on you, and now she wants to wait. But she didn't have that attitude with all her previous partners. Now, listen, if that's totally her call. If she wants to wait until marriage after having slept with 100 people, that's her call. However, guys are, I think, within their right to look at that and be like, well, that wasn't your standard in the past, so I don't want to see you. Like, I'm not going to wait, so goodbye, you know?
If he loves and respects you, then he will respect that.
Well, he can respect it, but he could be like, he could have his own standard too and be like, well, you want to wait 3 months, I don't, so we should
I like
goodbye.
those helmets.
And he's entitled to saying
this
goodbye.
fucking shit.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
I
okay,
don't,
too.
I don't think that that's a problem necessarily, but I agree with you. I mean, like, if he left because of that, then I would just kind of be like, okay.
Sounds
I-
like he only wants you for
For-
sex. Then.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
because
you know.
because you're allowed to, if you, especially like if you're saying that men want women that are like pure or whatever the case may be, lower bodies, like even if she had a hoe phase in the past, if she's changing and adapting and trying to become a more moral version of herself that matches his morals,
It
like
could be
why
that
would
you're
that be
also
something that you would
attracting
look
the wrong
down
kind of
on?
people.
What? I couldn't hear you. I was
It
speaking.
could be that you might be attracting the wrong kind of people.
Again, you're putting the accountability only on the women
I'm
instead
just
of
saying-
saying that maybe.
No, I'm just offering an alternate point of view.
Well, look, I suppose it's better if a woman had a promiscuous past, if she's trying to get more in line with non-promiscuity. I suppose that's more desirable than continuing in her promiscuity. But I think it's kind of like a lot of guys are looking at that where it's like, okay, she had a promiscuous past. All the previous men she slept with quick. But now I come along, or this guy comes along, and it's like, oh, now you want to wait. And so a lot of guys are looking at that and being like, well, hold on. And you also hear this from, like, I've heard something like girls will like sleep with guys who they consider jerks or assholes, and they'll sleep with them really quick. But here comes along like a gentleman, but now that guy who you think is potentially husband material, you're going to make him wait. And guys kind of view that, and it's like, oh.
But I think if you're looking at it, I mean, sure, I understand where you're coming from and the perspective that some men might have with that. But if you're looking for a more woman that's more pure, aligned with whatever that you align with, I think that you should look at that as a bonus of, oh, she sees something in me that she didn't see in these other men, and she wants to have a long-standing, like, relationship with me, and she's changing that level of promiscuity and trying to actually build a foundation for our relationship. And if a man really loves a woman or likes a woman that he's dating, he should be okay with and respect that.
Yeah, if I wait to sleep with someone and I like emotionally get to know them first, I actually respect them more.
And I also
see
feel like
long-term.
3 dates is not a too crazy of a
It's
time
not.
frame.
It's
Like,
not. I've waited
3 dates
way
isn't
longer
a
than that.
lot, but like,
yeah. So I don't know what, I'm not sure where this conversation is steering. I also don't know if any of us can relate to like the example that you gave of like being a hoe and then now making a guy wait. Can anybody
Body count of 100.
Yeah, can anybody here relate to that? Absolutely.
no, but okay, I'm sure there have been, there's probably women here at the table who have maybe in the past hooked up with a guy first time meeting him, and then you'll make another guy wait 3 dates, 6 dates, however long it is. So it's kind of like you give two different men like different sorts of
I
treatment.
understand where you're coming from.
And
yeah.
here's like an example I'd like to give is, how would you feel if your current boyfriend, you've been dating him for a year, he doesn't really do much in terms of like, he doesn't get you gifts, doesn't really take you out to dinner, you like each other, he likes you, you like him, but you know, he's not really doing anything in terms of, you know, like I said, taking you on dates, maybe, you know, gifts, whatever it may be. You find out that his last girlfriend, he was taking her on trips, he was buying her gifts, he was providing, paying for the first date. Wouldn't that make you feel a certain type of way? Like, oh, why is he doing all this for her? You know?
Yeah,
right, but
it's-
then that you would have a conversation with them about that and like bring up why you're feeling a certain way and get the answer that you either want or don't want from them.
Because I think like gifts and traveling is a lot different than
Yeah,
like giving
than
your body to
sex.
somebody. I mean, if we're saying that sex is different to men and women, then shouldn't the man expect, oh, well, maybe she's changed her mind on her like promiscuous phases and maybe she sees something else in me that she didn't see in somebody else. But I mean, if a guy was treating his last girlfriend really, really well and getting her gifts and traveling and like wanting to go places and do things, and then he didn't do that for me, I would just assume he didn't like me very much.
And this is also under the assumption that he's going to know about all the other people you've slept with in the time frame that you
Yeah.
slept with them. Like, this doesn't
That's
even
so
make any
unrealistic.
sense. Yeah. But I understand where you're coming from.
I
But
do, and I could see how somebody might view it that way. But I mean, again, I'm not going to go sit on a first date with somebody and be like, okay, so I slept with this guy on this date, and I slept with him after date 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, I would never do that.
We have a chat here from NPC.